Folks are honking, and we heard it. We definitely heard you. I can share that. Okay. All right, 8 o'clock. Stand by. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, Boy Scouts of America, young ladies in the building as well. I want to thank you again for your patience. We had some very important business items that we were taking care of in the closed session, and it is very, I think, in my own words, unusual to finally get out and start at 8 p.m., but that's what we're doing, and so I truly thank you for your patience. With that being said, we just came out of closed session, and I'll look to our City Attorney, Christopher Diaz, for any announcements.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing to legally report out of closed session this evening on behalf of the council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. What was that? Okay, sir. All right. Moving on through our agenda for this evening. If it's your first time here, we have a city council meeting agenda that we go through really line by line, page by page. You can find the agenda here in the rear of the chamber, and we can all follow along together. And if it's not your first time here, welcome back. Happy that you made it out here to City Hall on this first Tuesday of March. At this time, I'll ask everybody to please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. And we have our Scouts of America here to lead the way.
Prepare to advance. Color guards, advance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color guards, prepare to post the colors. Color guards, post the colors. Color guards, honor the colors. 2. Color guard dismissed. The audience may now be seated.
Much, and why don't you please introduce yourselves one at a time, and definitely recognize your Scoutmaster or leader that's here this evening as well.
My name is Nicholas.
My name is Davin.
I'm Kevin Nguyen.
I'm Trusting Nguyen.
I'm Isaac Williams.
And we're Troop 92 here today with Mr. Hans.
Fantastic. Let's give these young folks a big round of applause. Thank you. Great job. Moving on here to the invocation, and here in the month of March, I have been tasked with presenting the invocation, or really welcoming and inviting community members to come perform the invocation. And tonight we have someone that did the invocation prior at the request of Councilmember Dominguez, and I am happy to have him back this evening, Mr. Rajesh Shah. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Good evening, friends. I thank you all, particularly the Mayor, Rich Tran, Vice Mayor Bob Nunes, Karina Dominguez, Carmen Montano, Anthony Fenn as the City Council members, City Clerk Mary Lovell, City Manager Stephen Macaris, City Attorney Christopher Diaz, for inviting me here to give invocation speech and express my thoughts and understanding about life. This is a very desirable and most wanted thing in present life for motivation and inspiration. So I thank City of Milpitas to organize and arrange this type of invocation speech. This is for the character building, and it is sort of giving back to the society, and we are preparing for the next generation to come. So this process we welcome, and we thank you all for this. So I will start my invocation speech. I will speak couple of prayers, which is high motivation. Before that prayer, I will speak something about the life. Every morning we wake up, we have the gift of God, 21,600 breaths, and it is upon us how we spend the day. So it's all about the thoughts and the mind, and then thoughts turn into actions, and action turn into results. So it is we who make the life. And I am coming from the country India. I've been migrated from India, which is land of Mahatma Gandhi, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and Narendra Modi, which has a rich heritage of cultural values and which spread the message of peace, non-violence, and brotherhood. The first prayer I am going to speak is written by Bill Crinan. He is the Dean of Canadian Motivational Speakers. The heading is "The Reward is Within." Put forth your best and you have already won. That is the starting point of the poem. The contest lasts for moments, though the trainings taken years. It was not the winning alone that was worth the work and the tears. The applause will be forgotten, the prize will be misplaced, but the long, hard hours of practice will never be a waste. For in trying to win, you build a skill. You learn that winning depends on will. You never grow by how much you win. You never grow by how much you win. You only grow by how much you put in. So any new challenge you have just begun, put forth your best and you have already won. So this is a nice message. The reward is within. So we have to remember this message. Second poem is the author is unknown, but the poem is very famous. Everybody knows it. The heading is "Be Thankful." We have to be thankful for everything we get in life. And the poem starts like this: be thankful that you don't have everything you desire. Be thankful that you don't have everything you desire. If you did, what would there be to look forward to? Be thankful when you don't know something, for it gives you the opportunity to learn. Be thankful for the difficult times. It is during those times that you grow. Be thankful for your limitations because they give you opportunities for improvement. Be thankful for each new challenge. Be thankful for each new challenge because that will build your strength and character. Be thankful for your mistakes. They will teach you valuable lessons. Be thankful when you are tired and weary because it means you have made an effort. It is easy to be thankful for the good things in life, but a life of rich fulfillment comes to those who are also thankful for their setbacks. Be thankful. Be thankful in life. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Namaste. Thank you for being here again. Second time here with Invocation, a great community member, a kind gentleman, very well known here in this valley. Thank you very much. Okay, next up we're going to do a presentation and move this meeting along here. I'm going to come on down to the podium and ask the Vice Mayor and the council members to join me as we have one proclamation to present. Okay, I'm going to formally present the proclamation and then invite our special guest up here once the proclamation is read. It's a proclamation to declare this month of March as the American Red Cross Month. And this is a proclamation that we've done previously to recognize such a great and valuable and truly special organization that we have here in our country. The American Red Cross is one of the largest humanitarian organizations in the world, delivering its mission every day to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. Established more than 138 years ago as a humanitarian organization, the American Red Cross is guided by 7 fundamental principles, including humanity, impartiality, and independence to provide to those in need, regardless of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or citizenship status. The American Red Cross teaches and empowers nearly 5.9 million people annually with life-saving health, safety, and preparedness skills through training courses such as first aid, CPR, AED, water safety, and babysitters training, as well as emergency and first aid information from mobile app downloads. The city of Milpitas, the American Red Cross, both have a long history of helping neighbors in need and helping to keep our communities safe. The Silicon Valley chapter assisted with 140 local disasters and helped nearly 300 families following local disasters here in the past year alone. Through its Home Fire campaign, the Silicon Valley chapter has worked with community partners to install more than 2,100 smoke alarms, taught more than 1,200 children preparedness skills, and assisted over 620 households with fire preparedness. Annually, the Silicon Valley chapter, that's our chapter here around and in Milpitas, collects an average of nearly 17,000 units of blood from our generous blood donors. We dedicate the month of March to all those who support the American Red Cross mission to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. Our community depends on the American Red Cross, which relies on volunteers and the generosity of the public to perform its mission. Now I, therefore, Rich Tran, the Mayor of Milpitas, and on behalf of the great Vice Mayor and City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2020 in Milpitas as American Red Cross Month. And let's give a big round of applause for this month and our special guest, Vice Chair of the Board of Directors of the American Red Cross Silicon Valley, Miss Tu Tui Jung. And she'll be here to accept the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor Tran. Thank you, everyone. And good evening. I'll make it very quick. As he said, I'm vice chair of the board, but I'm just a volunteer, and I'm one of 1,600 volunteers this year at the Red Cross Silicon Valley. And I welcome more volunteers to the chapter, to Silicon Valley chapter. The mayor said all the statistics, so I don't have to say anything more. But I'd like to invite more people to come and join us as a volunteer. You can do many things. You become disaster preparedness. Did you know that there's like the mayor said, we the Red Cross helped locally 140 families already this year. It's the local disasters such as fire that kill a lot more people than you think than disasters. Every day there are about 7 people that died nationwide due to a home fire. So I welcome more people to come and join us to help install free smoke alarms to many mobile home parks in Silicon Valley, including in Milpitas. So that's one plug I have. So thank you very much. Thank you for your support.
All right, we'll head back up to the dais and get some business done, huh? Okay, next up on the agenda is, you know what it is, it's the public forum. And those in the audience are invited to address City Council on any subject not on tonight's agenda. Speakers must come to the podium, state their name and city of residence for our clerk, Mary Lavelle's record. And limit spoken remarks to, I'm requesting 1 minute or less per person tonight. We are behind schedule. That's on me. As an item not listed on the agenda, no response is required from city staff or the council, and no action can be taken. You know the drill. Council may instruct the city manager to place the item on a future meeting agenda. Come on up, let's begin. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Badal Chaudhary. Address is 864 Del Rio Court, Milpitas resident. And just taking a couple of minutes to talk about the proposed hotel, which probably you'll be discussing March 17th. So the issue is, first of all, everyone believes that this is a local thing. It's not. The city is, there are lots of residents who don't live in that local neighborhood who are really concerned about it. That's number one. Number two, this is an area, if we go through the whole process of what the citizens had to go through it, if that's an example of how the city operates, then we are in trouble. And I'm not really addressing this council. I'm hoping that people who are listening to this broadcast, listening to this podcast, please come to the next council. Make the city be aware what your concerns are. Because right now, if you are quiet, the assumption is you are for the hotel. So please take care of that. Secondly, my request to this council is go to the site. Look at the traffic in the morning. It takes 11 minutes. It takes 11 minutes exactly to pass that red light. Go there on any working day. Look at the facts on the spot and then make your decision. Issue would be addressed next week. So please, I would request you to do that.
Thank you, appreciate you, thank you very much. Welcome, good seeing you.
My name is Spike Jones. I'm a Milpitas resident. I would like to thank the Milpitas Police Department. Chief, thank you for sending your constables to do the distasteful task of writing tickets of people turning right from Jacqueline to Hillview, because that's a safety compromise, for we have a young lady in this room whose house has been struck 3 times by traffic. What happened tonight with the delay was symbolic of what you will be voting on in 2 weeks, which is, we had students here, we had scouts. I'm not asking what happened. We know something went wrong. I don't care. But the point of it is there was a delay. What we will be deciding on in 2 weeks and what you will be voting on in 2 weeks is symbolic of how we will be sacrificing the safety and certainly the time of our students who must pass through that bottleneck every day on the way to school.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. Good seeing you. Okay, actually got these cards here, and usually they're for agenda items, but this is for the public forum. So I'm going to go ahead and go with these cards. But Allison, I'll use the card after you. Come on up.
Thank you. My name is Allison McDonald. I live on Kevin Eyre Drive, right around the corner from this corner. I live near the corner of Campbell and Kevin Eyre, so I'm about, I'm just a little bit down the street. But when I go off to work in the morning, if I'm a substitute teacher, if I'm working at Burnett or Sinnott or Rose or Randall, I have to go that direction, turn left. I turned right onto Hillview and left onto Jacqueline. And there's a big backup of traffic from Jacqueline on Hillview of cars trying to exit my neighborhood because they've just dropped off students at one of the 3 schools on Escuela Parkway. And I know that the claim is that the traffic situation will be better than it was when we had the gym there, but it's hard to imagine. I think that people who are there doing business are going to want to leave in the morning just when everyone else is also leaving in the morning. And it's hard to get out of the neighborhood when there's so many cars congesting that intersection as it is. So I'm hoping that a real hard look will be taken at what the traffic impact will be in that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Okay, I'll call up, there we go. Vice Mayor Nunez.
Yeah, just real quick, Chief. I just want to make sure I got the corner right. It's you can't turn right off of Jacqueline left. So, Chief, if you could help me, I just want to make sure I don't walk away with. I haven't heard constable either in a very long time. So.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council. I think, and forgive me because I forget your last name, Spike, but I think Spike was talking about the turning restrictions traveling westbound on Jacqueline to northbound on Hillview, which would be traveling away from 680 on Jacqueline Road towards the residentials and turning right on Hillview. So there's some turning restrictions there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Thank you very much, Chief Corpus. I appreciate you. And we'll continue with the public forum. Next up, I want to call up Anita Peralta. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody.
You pull it down, the microphone down just a little bit more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I oppose the construction of the La Quinta Hotel in the neighborhood of Jacqueline and Hillview because of its proximity to the schools, the Pomeroy Elementary School, the Russell Middle School, and the Milpitas High School. I believe that having strangers in the neighborhood will compromise the safety of young students walking to and from schools, and because it is being built near the 680 freeway, which would make it a very easy getaway if one was to commit a crime. For the sake of our children, please don't approve this hotel on March 17. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll continue here. Next up, we have Rena. Rena Abral. Yes. Oh, wait, you know what? You already won, right? Okay. If she's not here, put that one on me. Next up, Badal. Okay, so last names are different. Okay. Next up, Barbara Dahl. Yes, come on up, welcome. Always love seeing your name.
You can thank my husband for that.
Yes, thank you, sir.
My name is Barbara Dahl, and I live in Milpitas. There is strong community opposition to building the La Quinta Hotel. Our group has grown rapidly and is increasing daily. Not only are people who live in the immediate affected area near Hillview Drive opposed, so are people who live in non-affected areas, because they realize that if the city grants an exception to allow the building of a large structure in a community that strongly opposes it, it will probably do the same in their neighborhood. This is a quiet, safe residential area of 1- and 2-story homes and businesses. A 5-story hotel would forever change the area for the worse. This is the wrong location for a hotel, and I think you all know that. We know that most citizens oppose the excessive growth in Milpitas. Please make your voice heard by emailing or phoning the council members and by attending the city council meeting on March 17th at 7:00 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Definitely speaking to the community. We're being streamed live on Facebook right now. Hello, everybody that's tuning in from the interwebs. Next up, we have Mr. John Dahl, of course. Come on up, sir. Welcome.
Good evening. I am John Dahl and I live in Milpitas. The peaceful neighborhood along Hillview Drive and its cul-de-sacs has hundreds of homes where families have been enjoying the Hillviews for up to 30 years. At the corner of Hillview and Jacqueline, many residents benefit from the services of the KinderCare, the Tian School, the Shell Station, the Loop Market, and all the other 1- and 2-story businesses that are architecturally compatible with the neighborhood. In other words, these businesses contribute to community pride. But the proposed 105-room hotel, 230 feet wide, with 5 stories plus cell phone masts on top, would ruin the beauty and peacefulness of this neighborhood. 2 weeks from tonight, the City Council will decide whether to allow this 5-story hotel to be built. To the attendees and viewers, if this is the sort of development you want to see less of, not more of in Milpitas, please attend the meeting.
Thank you.
To express your opposition to the hotel. Thank you,
sir. Appreciate you. All right, next up we have Mr. Sam Leung. Are you here, Sam? Is it? Okay. And then we'll go forward here to Yoli Garcia. I see ya. And then I'm going to kindly ask Manu Jane to also step up to the other podium that's up here and stand by. And that way we can move along here. I appreciate your support. Hey, Yoli.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Yoli Garcia, and I'm a Milpitas resident. I would like to remind City Council of the ripple effect. The ripple effect of City Council decisions has an effect on our entire community. In Milpitas, this started with high-rise development near the Pines residential neighborhood, and now the ripple effect of that decision is moving to the Hillview Jacqueline residential neighborhood. What's next? High-rise developments in Sunny Hills, the Manor, Parktown. I would like to remind City Council that Milpitas voters are opposed to a 5-story high-rise hotel at Hillview and Jacqueline because we don't want added traffic, safety, and crime problems. I certainly hope that you will consider voting on March 17th for your community and constituents and not voting for outsiders and travelers briefly passing through. Small and local businesses are the backbone of our economy. Let's encourage more of that in Milpitas. And for the record, I understand that the hotel project owner has made some threatening options for the location. I think threats are unsavory and no class. I don't make threats. I make promises. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yoli. And then after Manu, it will be Foja. If you can come on.
He left.
He's gone too. Oh, jeez. And then after Manu, it's going to be Barbara Jo Navarro. Yes. Please.
Hello, I'm Manu Jain. I live in Milpitas, and I'm here to speak against the deeply unpopular La Quinta Hotel. Over 1,500 Milpitas residents. These are real Milpitas residents, adult residents of Milpitas, 1,500, have already signed against this hotel. They've given their signatures. These are not just from Hillview. These are from all over Milpitas, from the Pines, from Park Victoria, from the Manor, from Sunny Hills, from everywhere. And the opposition is growing. We did a rally this evening in front of the City Hall, and we got an overwhelmingly positive response from passerbys. This is far away from Hillview. This hotel project is emblematic of the fast-paced development we have been having in the city, and the residents want this to change. They want quality of life. They don't want strangers in the neighborhood. They want verdant Hillviews. They want sustainable development. They want smart development. Please make the right choice and say no to the hotel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Barbara Jo Navarro. I live in Milpitas on that busy intersection corner. Mayor and council members, the statements expressed today by my fellow residents before you are their perspectives on why a hotel should not be built in our neighborhood. This should be important to you as our elected officials. The reality is this project will change Hillview neighborhood and will change Milpitas as it exists today. No one can factually state how, but many of us do not believe it will foster community pride or beautification of the neighborhood. Today, I urge you to think about the future of the neighborhood and consider everything that you have heard. Please take the time to make the right choice for the right kind of progress that will indeed be positive for the residents and the city. Do not approve the hotel project on March 17th. Please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public forum continues. I don't have any more requests to speak cards in front of me, but all are welcome to speak. I want to welcome members in the chamber. Now is your time. If you're here to speak during the public forum and that's what you're here for, then please stand up and move forward. I see a couple shoulders shifting left and right. Mr. Montemayor, are you? Okay, come on up.
Voltaire Montemayor of Milpitas, the mayor, vice mayor, city council members, city manager and staff. Yeah, thank you for the proclamation. Yeah, we have to be brave enough to help Red Cross. They are untouchable even in war zone. So yeah, if we're blood type AB, we'll help. And my thought right now is I'm envious to the neighboring cities. They have self-sustaining revenue, earning bureau. Milpitas don't have much. We have Great Mall, Santa Clara, we have Convention Center, we have Levi's, we have everything. San Jose, we have airport, they have Costco, Fremont, we have Tesla, and then they have Work Gourmet, 10 seconds. Oh yeah, we will find a place to make Milpitas great. We cannot expand because we have a small city.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you very much, Uncle. Appreciate you. All right, public forum continues. Frank, I see you. Come on up, my friend. What's going on this Friday?
Good evening. Frank Smith, Milpitas Chamber of Commerce, Milpitas Rotary Club. I want to remind everyone that the Chamber of Commerce 27th annual auction and crab feed's coming this Friday. Be sure to contact the chamber as soon as possible while tickets last. And I hope to see you there, and it should be a good one.
You will see me there, Frank. Thank you so much. Many of us, actually.
Look forward to that.
Yeah.
Good night.
Very well. Yes, come on up. Yes, all are welcome.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. I oppose the La Quinta Hotel, and this will set bad precedents for Milpitas to come. A lot of people, a lot of residents love Milpitas the way it is. We're not against development. Just this hotel is in the wrong place. Please do not approve it on that part of the city where there has not been a tall building besides the Embassy Suite. Do not start now, otherwise it's going to be a slippery slope. So please make the right decision on March 17th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public forum continues. Now would be your time. I'm going to close the public forum. Clarification. Public forum. I'm going to close the public forum. Looking to my left, looking to my right, looking to the center. I don't see anybody going once, going twice. The public forum is now concluded. I want to thank everybody that spoke during the public forum. We appreciate the conversation. Moving on here on the agenda, it is now time for the announcements and future agenda items. We'll just check in with the city manager real quick to see if there's any announcements.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff has no announcements tonight.
Thank you very much, Steve. And I'll look to my colleagues here on the dais if there's any announcements. Okay, Vice Mayor Nunez.
Yes, I just wanted to indicate that I think it is Thursday of this week, the mayor and myself, along with the president and vice president of the school district, will be meeting to go over the things that we can do to help the city with regard to the coronavirus.
Yep.
We are the two largest agencies here. We want to make sure that we're putting out information that's helpful. We've noticed that in the state of Washington and more locally in the Orange County, first responders, fire department, firefighters have been quarantined once they've entered either the care facilities and or the homes. And so we want to make sure that we coordinate what's being broadcast from to parents and to residents. We know that the city is working on something. We know that the school district is working on something. We will want to try to coordinate that effort. So we'd like to thank both the mayor and the Vice President, Chris Norwood, for coordinating that. So we'll be inviting persons here from the city to help us with that effort. And I'll hold the rest for that section at the end. Hopefully we'll get to, which is report from committees.
Very well. Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Nunez. Then we're going to Councilmember Montano.
Thank you, Mayor Tran. I would like to make an announcement that I attended the census sponsored by Rocana at the Evergreen College Extension last weekend. And it was really great. They had several agencies, First Five, the colleges, and there were several agencies that were able to give information about the census count. Also, one of the cities that did come was, I think it was San Mateo County, and what they do is they recommended that our city do a proclamation or some type of resolution. So I'd like to see if we can have that done on behalf of our city to get the census, it's kind of like a campaign sort of.
Yeah, absolutely, to recognize the efforts, no doubt about it. Yeah, so we'll look to the city manager to.
And then the other thing is, I know we have a code of ethics, and I'd like to, I don't have it in front of me, I thought I did. I was thinking maybe we can recite it before each meeting, go over it. So just to kind of keep us on task, make sure we respect one another. And anyway, that's just a thought. Maybe we could do that. And I was speaking to some folks at Santa Clara, the city of Santa Clara, some council members, and what they do, they have this. I think Bob, you were there when they said that they have a policy where they don't use their cell phones on the dais, because if a public member sees us on the cell phone, they can ask for a public request act, and maybe and so their legal counsel, their lawyer said that we could that they should refrain from using their cell phone. So I'd like to see something like that, a policy that we can have and kind of refrain from using our cell phones on the dais, so that way we can have our full attention on the public. So that's another thought, and we can discuss that later on in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Montano. And we're going back to Vice Mayor Nunez.
Just real quick, and thank you for that. I noticed there's a sign as we walk through the door back here, and it has, I think, the code of conduct that's actually at the very back of our agenda. And on there it says, refrain from using electronic devices while on the council dais. So we may want to put this at the front of the agenda so we get to see it every time. But I mean, so some of those rules are there. I don't know if we adopted those as actual rules or whatever, but I think it's there every meeting, which is good. And then secondly, would I work with Tony or Walter, risk manager or emergency services?
You would start with me, and then I'll refer you to exactly who you need, depending on your request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the announcements, and we'll move on to the announcement of conflict of interest and campaign contributions. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd ask the Mayor and Council to please disclose any personal or financial conflict of interest related to any of the items on tonight's agenda. And we'll start at the end. Councilmember Fan? Councilmember Montano? Vice Mayor Nunez?
None.
And Mayor Tran?
None.
I'd also ask the Mayor and Council to please disclose any campaign contributions of 100 or more received within the last 12 months from any party entering into a contract with the city on tonight's agenda or any development project applicant on tonight's agenda. We'll start at the end. Councilmember Fan? Councilmember Montano? Vice Mayor Nunez?
None.
And Mayor Tran?
None.
Let the record reflect none to both questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. And we'll move on to approval of agenda. I will go ahead and make some requests now for tonight's agenda. I want to be effective here to this evening. And so I would like for items to be moved up. I'd like for after the public hearing, number 15. After number 15, I'd like to see number 20, and then number 21, and then number 23, and then number 17, and then in chronological order, as noted on the agenda before us all. There's one more item I'd like to put on consent. I'll wait till we get to the consent to do that, but I'll give you a heads up. I'd like to have item number 16 on consent. All right. Oh, Chris, I hope you got that. Appreciate you. And we're going to council member Fan.
Yes, I would like items 16, 18, 25, and 27 to be put onto consent. Did I say 25, 27, 28? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Fan. I support those items for consent, even though we're not there yet, but we'll just note it anyways, because I think now's not a bad time. Consent for item number 16, 18, just repeating you here, 25, 27, and 28. Just repeating you there. And we'll go down the line here. Next up, Councilmember Montano.
Thank you, Mayor Tran. I forgot to mention, I will be leaving at 9 o'clock, the dais, so this meeting, just to let you know.
Thank you. Duly noted, duly noted. We know it's a important night here in this valley and across America as election results are coming in, and so we will, and I will be supporting your early excusal wholeheartedly and fully. And next up, we have Vice Mayor Nunez.
Yeah, so Chris, if you could just tell me which ones have been added.
So at this point, there's been council requests to add 16, 18, 25, 27, and 28 to consent.
Okay, so if you could try it one more time, just a little slower, because I have three I want to make sure that are in there.
So there's 16 and 18, which
Okay,
are...
so 17, could we put 17 in there? It was in there?
That would be good. No, that would
be good. Okay.
Okay, yep, I support that.
Okay.
So 16, 17, 18, and then separately from that, you have 25, 27, and 28.
Could we put 21 and 23 in there?
You can legally, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, one moment here. We're going to, yes. One moment here. Let me get I'm receiving them now. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to pull number 18 from the consent. Thank you very much. Okay. And so we'll get to the consent, but first let's just go ahead and do the approval of the agenda.
I move approval of the agenda as modified.
We got a motion by Vice Mayor Nunez. You have a second by Councilmember Montano. All in favor of approval of the agenda? Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried. Very well. Moving here to the consent calendar. I'm just going to go ahead and repeat it here. For consent, items number 16, 17, 21, 22, 25, 27, and 28. And 23. Thank you. Usually it's the opposite. You know, pulling, now they're pushing.
I know,
and
right?
so, yeah, added. Okay, and I'm going to repeat it again. For the consent, items number 16, 17, 21, 22, 23, 25, 27, and 28. And no, this is not bingo. That's down the street. Okay. And they're still going. We'll see if we could beat them. I know they close at a certain time. We'll leave it at that. Okay, very well. So looking for a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
We had a motion by Vice Mayor Nunez, a second by Councilmember Montano. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried. Very well. And we're moving here to the public hearing. Item number 15, let's conduct the public hearing for the 2020 Weed Abatement Program and adopt a resolution to abate the weeds. And we'll be moving efficiently this evening, so everybody please, let's do this. Okay. How you doing?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, honorable members of the council. Tonight we have a public hearing for the 2020 Weed Abatement Public Hearing and adopt the resolution to abate the weeds. On February 4th, 2020, the Milpitas City Council adopted resolution number 8943, declaring weeds growing upon certain tribe properties to be a public nuisance, which must be abated and to set a public hearing, which is tonight. The purpose of this public hearing is for the parcel owners to object to the removal of the weeds, to state their objections before the weeds are removed, and the cost be made as a lien upon their property. The 2020 weed abatement list is in your packet. Staff recommends open the public hearing for public comment and close the public hearing after any communication has been made by the parcel owners, and then adopt the resolution directing the County of Santa Clara Consumer Environmental Protection Agency Weed Abatement Program to abate the nuisance, keep an account of the cost, and embody such account in a report and assessment list to the City Council in accordance with Milpitas Municipal Code. That completes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. I also have Mr. Mo Coomer from the county, should you have any questions for him.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Looking for a motion to open the public hearing. We got a motion to open the public hearing by Councilmember Fan. We have a second by Councilmember Montano. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried. All right, public hearing. This is public hearing for weed abatement. Who wants to speak on? Yes, Mr. Montemayor, come on up, sir.
Previous years, I always agree with this with abatement. One is it disrupt traffic flow, blocking ways, block. They are eyesores. It causes a fire hazard. They could clog the sewer or drainage the ocean. Some roads are acidic. They may destroy the pipes and more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you. And the public hearing continues for this agenda item. Going once, looking to my left. Going twice, looking to my right. Looking to the center. I don't see anybody else. We'll bring the conversation back up here to the dais. If we have any comments from the dais, please let me know. Okay, I appreciate, Mr. Zamora, I appreciate all you do in regards to these matters and keeping our city beautiful. So I will look for a motion to close the public hearing. We have a motion to close the public hearing by Councilmember Fan. We have a second by Councilmember Montano. All in favor of closing the public hearing? Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried. We'll look to recommendation number 2, if that's okay. And that's to adopt a resolution directing the County of Santa Clara Consumer and Environmental Protection Agency Weed Abatement Program to abate the nuisance, keep an account of the cost, and embody such account in a report and assess an assessment list to the City Council in accordance with the Milpitas Municipal Code that we all love. So if there's no further comment, I'm looking for a motion to adopt the resolution.
So moved.
We got a motion to adopt the resolution by Vice Mayor Nunez. You have a second by Councilmember Fan. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, Albert. You have a great evening. If I don't see you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving on here. We're going to go to item number, per the request, item number 20. Let's adopt the resolution to amend the City of Milpitas classification plan to adjust the salary ranges of unrepresented police management and unrepresented fire management classifications and adopt the pay schedule titled All the Job Classification Salary Table. And I'll look to the city manager, Steve McHurst, to kick it off.
Thank you, Mayor Tran, members of the council. So just wanted to take us back to March 2019, where staff acknowledged and the council supported the need to comprehensively address compaction in our public safety departments. Staff has done just that for this evening. So tonight we do have before you a recommendation from your city manager and staff to adjust salary ranges for unrepresented police management and specified unrepresented fire management classifications. The item starts with addressing wage compaction in the police department between represented and unrepresented management positions. For tonight's item, compaction is defined when wages between an employee and his or her supervisor become very close or may even overlap. A prime example of compaction is when a police lieutenant, which is unrepresented, promotes to captain, which is represented, which promotes to captain, which is unrepresented. That individual experiences a decrease in pay. This is happening because the lieutenant position receives up to 36% in special pays above their base salary. These special pays count toward PERS retirement. The unrepresented management positions do not receive special pays, resulting in less pay than their subordinate. So in correcting the compaction issue, we'll have significantly positive impacts to our ability to promote from within, and will reverse the current impact on losing sworn officers that are very familiar with our community to other agencies. Public safety is consistently ranked a top priority by the community, which is why we are bringing this item to you with a recommendation to adjust actual salaries for 5 unrepresented police positions. Now, with unrepresented fire management classifications, the issue is different, and there is no compaction. Our recommendation is focused on adjusting the salary ranges as opposed to actual salary adjustment in order to maintain parity within the specific unrepresented police management classifications. This is consistent with City Council direction in 2019. Since there is no compaction, we are not recommending making salary adjustments at this time. Now, lastly, staff is completing a benchmarking study for the Chief Fire Enforcement Officer classification, which was found to be unique to Milpitas, and as a result, we'll have a professional HR consultant studying the position, duties, and compensation prior to developing any recommendation to the council. So I've really given you an overview. Staff is here to give you more detail on the items before you.
Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate that. And I'll look to our Human Resources Director, Liz Brown. How you doing? And our Assistant City Manager, Ashwini Contact. I'm not sure. We'll start over here. Okay.
Yes.
That's me. Okay.
Yeah, I think Steve covered most of the presentation with his kickoff. So good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a brief presentation for you. Liz Brown is here with me to respond to any questions. I'll just go over the presentation pretty quickly. So as Steve covered the background, we came to you with this item back in March of 2019. At that time, we really looked at very specific changes, so address some compaction issues, recognize that we had to look at it much more comprehensively and take a look at special pays, which is what we're bringing back to you today. And so as Steve mentioned, we did a thorough analysis looking at salary ranges. This was all internal equity, looking at compaction issues and specifically looking at special pays and how those were impacting kind of compaction between represented and unrepresented classifications. So as Steve mentioned, this really has an adverse impact on succession planning and the ability to promote internally. And we wanted to make sure that we are addressing this issue in a timely manner. Again, Steve mentioned, it's due to special pays, and we started looking at police, but also looked at fire to see if there were any similar issues. We did not note those kind of compaction issues, where in police we have the lieutenants making about 5% more than the captains, the positions that they would be promoting into. And so here's the police org chart that you can see. The unrepresented are the chief of police, the assistant chief of police, and then 3 police captains. And the police captains supervise the lieutenants, which are represented by the POA. So now to address this issue, we are recommending today adjusting salary ranges as well as salaries by 10.69% for the captains, the 3 captains, the assistant chief, and the police chief. And again, this is to address the negative compaction kind of that we have today, and then to allow for a 5% spread between each of the classifications, which is a pretty minimal spread. Typically, industry standard would be to look at 10%. But existing between assistant chief and chief, as well as captain and assistant chief, is 5%, and so we're just recommending to maintain that. And these adjustments will address a longstanding compaction issue, will facilitate better succession planning within the department, and then to avoid such issues in the future, we are recommending tying the unrep police to MPOA salary adjustments. So the increases as well as the timing of those increases. Here is the fire organization chart. Now, as we said, last year in March of 2019, Council approved maintaining internal equity between police and fire command staff. And so we wanted to maintain that continuity. So even though we did not find the same compaction issues in fire, we were taking a look at equity. And so you'll see our recommendations are based on that premise. And so in fire, you have the fire chief, you have a deputy fire chief on the operations side, and a deputy fire chief on the fire prevention side. The battalion chiefs are represented, and so we looked at compaction issues between the battalion chiefs and the deputy fire chiefs and did not find any significant compaction there. For the deputy fire chief under prevention, that's the fire marshal, the working title, and we also looked at the assistant fire marshal and are making recommendations to adjust salary ranges for the fire chief, the 2 deputy fire chiefs, and the assistant fire marshal. And then as Steve mentioned, for the chief enforcement officer, because this position is pretty unique to Milpitas, we are recommending looking at that in more detail and bringing some recommendations forward shortly to council. So maintaining equity between police and fire command staff, we are recommending the same adjustment, 10.69% for the deputy chief, fire marshal, chief, and to maintain the existing range spread, we are recommending adjusting salary range by the same percentage for the assistant fire marshal. The salary adjustments will occur along with annual performance reviews, since there is no immediate compaction issue that we need to address. And as I mentioned, we'll bring back a study for the chief fire enforcement officer as part of the budget process, and then also to avoid future compaction issues similar to police, we would recommend tying the unrep fire adjustments to IAFF. And so here are the salary range adjustments that you can see for the unrepresented police and fire positions, where you can see the current salary and the proposed. And again, the column towards the far right basically shows you the spread between the positions. So between chief of police and assistant chief of police, will maintain the 5%, the existing 5% spread. Similarly, with assistant police chief and police captain, 5%. And then when you look into fire, we'll maintain the existing spreads. You can see they are already quite significant. In terms of fiscal impact, because we are proposing adjusting the salaries for police, there will be an impact to the general fund. It'll be approximately $71,000 for the remainder of this fiscal year, and then about $294,000 for next fiscal year, because that'll be the entire fiscal year. The cost for this fiscal year will be absorbed within the existing departmental appropriations, and then the increased cost for next fiscal year will be included in the proposed budget for your consideration. And then there's no immediate impact for adjusting the fire salary ranges, because we're not adjusting the salaries at this point. They will just be part of the annual performance appraisals and merit increases, and those will be incorporated into future annual budgets. We did have a couple of alternatives for you in the staff report. So one was, of course, if you chose not to approve the staff recommendations for unrepresented police positions, as we talked before. The reason we're not recommending doing that is, although this will result in general fund savings in the long run, it will leave a long-standing compaction issue unresolved, We feel that this has an adverse impact on succession planning and our ability to promote from within. We could lose experienced staff and ultimately impact the quality of public safety services to the community.
Thank you very much, Ashwin. I want to pause you momentarily there, if I may. I want to go to Councilmember Fan.
Sure, thanks. I'm looking at the packet at the table, the salary table. And so on page 409, it mentions merit. Now, is that something that is considered in the salary increases for police and fire?
I want to make sure. I'll just take a look at the page. 409, you said?
Yeah. I just want to make sure that, like if we're going to be talking about equity, that, whatever metrics that we're using to determine these increases, are reflective across the board.
Yes, and so police and fire are being treated a little bit separately right now because police, there is that negative compaction, right, that we have. So it's an immediate issue that we need to address. Basically, we have the kind of somebody supervising an employee making less than the employee they supervise. So it's an immediate issue that we need to address. In fire, we do not have that. So for both, we're recommending adjusting the salary ranges for both equitably. And then the salaries themselves for police, we're recommending adjusting immediately. And then they would be on the annual merit increase schedule.
But that's not, that's applicable to both police and fire?
And for fire, what we're saying is we would adjust the salary ranges, and then the actual merit increases would happen whenever each of them were eligible for a merit increase, which is pretty soon. I mean, we've looked at the timeline. So they would be eligible for those, but they're not across the board salary adjustments.
And so if you could just clarify then, those merit increases currently exist for police? Is that what you're saying then?
That's correct. We are recommending making the actual salary adjustments, not just the range adjustments, because we already have kind of a problem we need to address. That we don't have a similar compaction issue in fire. The only reason we're recommending changing the salary ranges is for equity, to keep police and fire the same.
I've been hearing this word a lot throughout this entire agenda item, equity, right? To the point where, I struggle to understand the context of it. Are we referring to financial equity? Are we referring to morale? What kind of equity are we talking about here? Because in terms of morale, merit, should be across the board or not across the board then?
That's a solid question. Yeah, we'll go to staff. Yes.
Sure. Thank you, council member. So when we're talking equity, I think we're talking both financial and morale, because just last year, we kind of made both the police chief and fire chief and the command positions sort of the same salary ranges. So we wanted to make sure, honestly, the issue that we started looking at was really compaction in police, because that's real time and it's negatively impacting succession planning. So that was the problem we were trying to solve. In fire, there is no such similar problem. The only reason we're saying we're recommending salary adjustments is to keep them both the same, so that they don't now become dissimilar like they were before. And so that's when I talk equity, I'm talking the salary equity, but that also has an impact on morale. What the action today would allow is to have that same range, and then as soon as each of the fire command staff are up for their increase, their annual increase, they would be able to get that and grow within the range. with police, the reason we're not waiting, we're not using the same approach, is we already have kind of a negative compensation issue, which we don't have in fire. So
Yeah,
it is
but,
slightly different, but
I think at the end of the day, that issue of the inequity of morale would be perpetuated if you're not considering it for everybody. It's hard for me to imagine that we're addressing the issue of equity, financial equity, and not have it actually impact the morale equity, especially when, and I'm certainly not trying to pit, one group against the other. What I really want to see is that everybody can, be content. All parties can work with what we're bringing forward, and I personally just feel uneasy knowing that not everybody is being treated equal here. For me, I have a hard time accepting that is actually equity. So, if that's the case, let's just use a different term, But just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Councilmember Fan. I want to check in with City Manager.
Just jumping in a little bit, and I don't want to confuse it because equity and have an equitable comparison. That's a correct term, but I've also looked at this too. Is it equitable or is it parity? And I think parity is probably maybe more accurate when we're looking at bringing fire into this conversation of, all right, we know we're dealing with police and we know there's issues there in compaction. So that's a given, and that's clear for us to see. So then we go over to fire, there isn't the compaction. So what is it we're doing? And that's more of a parity when we compare the organization of fire to, particularly in the management levels, to the management levels in police. And that is what we believe was the understanding we had with the council and the direction to go back and look at fire and see where we can put them more in alignment and in parity. So I would use the word myself, parity, rather than equity. And the only reason morale would come up, I don't know that it was, there might be some in fire, but definitely in police we have that issue, because then it falls into you're a supervisor and the people you're supervising are making more are being compensated higher than you. So why are you even in the position?
General thing, huh?
For one. So that's where the morale thing comes into play, where the questions start coming up. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Or if I'm not up in that level, why would I want to go in that level when I can be more compensated at a lower level? And that's not healthy for the organization. And that's what we're trying to correct tonight.
I appreciate that, Steve. Thank you very much. I am going to go to the next speaker here, most respectfully. But I do understand there's more slides to cover. So next up here, we have Vice Mayor Nunez.
I think that meant for me to keep it short.
Respectfully.
Yes, and I'm going to try. I actually think I understand where we're trying to go. It's how we're trying to get there, I think, is the confusing part. For me, at least. Back about a year ago, when we made some changes and we dealt with, I think it's the battalion chiefs. Is that the ones where suddenly we found I think they were out of the unit, and then they figured out they had lost some of the stipends and things, and they were making less money and working more hours. I was just making sure Chris wasn't going to pull my plug, because I'm going to mention the letter in a little bit, and he told me not to. And what they ended up saying is, if a promotion doesn't fit in the ATM, So if it weren't for the glory, I wouldn't take it. What I understand in the PD, if it weren't for the glory of being a lieutenant and a captain, those don't really fit in the ATM either. You make more money as a sergeant and working your way down the other way. You lose too much. So I understand us trying to make so you don't lose money working your way up the ladder. And so I think I understand that for both fire and police. And how we're getting there, I think, is the confusing part. The words we're trying to use, how we're structuring it, how we're trying to get it into place. But as long as that's what we're trying to do, so that we don't lose the persons we tried really hard to go find, bring in, train, and then they go someplace else to use all that. If that's our ultimate goal, then I want to make sure that we're doing something to keep them. Or else the chiefs are just going to get upset more and more. I get that. And I think, as I understand Anthony, maybe it's how we're trying to implement it, the sequencing of it all. And so it's not the outcome, I think, so much. It is what we're calling it, trying to make it appropriate, the words fit, and the timing of it all. And so I think that's the part, Steve, that at least for me, we need to be able to work on, so that our goal is really transparent. We're trying to make sure that those 15, Chief, that we talk about, you went out and found, stay with us. And not suddenly we find them at either San Jose or in San Mateo or someplace else. And we have to go out and keep hiring over and over and over again. So as long as that's what we're trying to do, I'm trying to hang in there. It's when we get to trying to find the right word, equity, or those things, that suddenly I can't quite find my way to make it match. But if what we're trying to do is retention for those hard to recruit positions, and allow for upward mobility, I'm there with you, in both of those positions. And you used a term there about when somebody leaves. It escapes me now. Succession.
For succession planning.
Planning. And that's something that I think in a city, especially in the safety units, you really have to have, because I've yet to figure out how at a certain age they leave and they go to a different city and stay there for a while and go to a different city. But you really have to almost train your own and have that in mind. And I think, Brian, you're the one that sort of talked to me about that, and it stayed with me. And so I think if we're upfront about that with us, we sort of understand that. It took me a while to understand that. So I just want to say I get it, and it's how we do it, how much money we put into it. I'd rather do it in a way that persons get their dollars now, and we're equitable about how we put the dollars in, but they know why we put the dollars in. So that's all I was going to say. I tried to keep it short.
No,
I took out every other sentence.
I always wait for you. I always wait
Thank
for you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, next up here we have Councilmember Montano.
Thank you, Mayor Tran. No, I just wanted to ask if you guys were done with your presentation. In the interest of time, I'd rather hold the questions till after you're done with your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Councilmember Montano. Yes, we'll carry on with the
We
presentation.
actually just had a couple more slides. So we talked about the first alternative. The second alternative would be not to approve the staff recommendation for fire. And again, this alternative, there was no compaction. We were just doing it, I'll use Steve's word, for parity. And so if you chose not to move forward with this, we could save future salary expenditures by not increasing the range. But the reason we're not recommending it is it would be counter to prior council direction where we would have sort of, the two police and fire chiefs at different salary ranges. So that's why we weren't recommending doing that. And then again, there was a recently submitted letter about fire classifications, but we don't think that is really connected to this. It could be addressed separately. So both of these policy alternatives were not recommended. Our recommendation is for council to adopt a resolution to amend the classification plan and make the salary range adjustments as well as the salary adjustments for police. And that's a 10.69% adjustment.
And can I add
Yes,
to make
yes.
that effective the first pay period following this meeting? I left that out.
Thank you so much.
And I just wanted, because the vice mayor is back, I just wanted to say that's exactly what we are trying to do for police, is the retention and making sure that people who've been trained and, have invested in the community then don't leave to go elsewhere, because if they promoted to the unrep positions, they would lose money. And that's exactly what we were trying to address for police. We don't have a similar situation in fire. So.
Very well, very well. Thank you so much, Ashwini and Liz. I am happy that item number 20 is on the agenda. I've been pushing this carefully and mindfully over some time now, and I want to put my support behind adopting a resolution as recommended on the agenda before me for a variety of reasons. Not the easiest decision to do this one, but one that is very, pardon me. This is a decision that takes a lot of thought and consideration and analysis, and there are so many dynamics that are involved, I think, with making this decision. But if I can take a step back and really think about what's before me that I can see, it reminds me of my first day on the job here, and I said to everybody that I was going to put public safety first, and this agenda item and the recommendation is really something that is full of what I committed to on my first day, which is to put public safety first and to ensure that we have retention for our police department leadership, and there is a fiscal impact, and I thank you for the figures, and that's one that I'm satisfied with, and it's really a salary a structure through the chain of command that makes great sense and is unsurprisingly something that we have to deal with. We're always, Vice Mayor, I always feel like we're working on improving areas that should have been improved way before our time, and so I do want to support this, and really this is to me a start. This recommendation before us, if it is considered and approved by the council, this is just a start. We know there's other areas that we have to work on, and fortunately, these groups that we are working towards a positive outcome for these professionals. These aren't large groups of 50 people. They're kind of a handful or so, some less maybe, but this is a start to me, and the hardest part is getting started in anything we do. And I think with tonight's agenda item and recommendations, it's a tremendous start. And I feel like if we don't make this start tonight, it's really going to make it harder to get everything else started. And I know we're all here to get things done. And 2020 has just been so fantastic working with this group. I mean, we're pretty much getting things done. And difficult things, challenging things, things that I don't think that we could get done, but we all have stepped up as leaders, and because of that, our decisions have really made a huge impact on the whole organization and the community. And we're looking to keep the momentum going and to really build up our body of work that we are so proud of. And tonight, I hope that as this council goes through the decision-making process at this day, is that we can, at the end of the evening, make a decision that will not just benefit the agenda item number 20, but really benefit the start of other areas that in this organization that need light. And my colleagues and I think folks in the community know that I'm in support of that. No doubt about it. And so let's get it started. All right, next up we got Councilmember Fan.
Yes, thank you. Just responding briefly. So you're saying a lot of these issues don't exist in fire? Like things are good?
The compaction, the negative sort of between. So lieutenant is the top level of representative.
Sure.
And then moving to captain, that's where there was a negative 5.4%. So we don't have that similar issue in fire. So there is adequate spread. Even looking at the special pays, there's still a spread between represented and unrepresented.
Okay. So, but that refers to compaction, right?
Yes.
Okay. On the topics that Vice Mayor Nunez and I discussed, morale, retention, succession planning, these aren't issues in fire?
That's kind of a very broad question because
Okay.
we were just looking at compaction.
I mean,
to
it's
begin
just
with.
3 issues.
Not so the succession planning we were talking specifically because you actually lose money when you promote. You don't have that same issue in fire. So that's all, keeping it to that very narrow lens. So not just looking at it very broadly.
You lose money when you budget any position.
No, you lose money when you promote. So that's the issue we were trying to handle in police to address. So if I'm in the lieutenant position and promote to captain, I lose money because I make more money with salary and special pays than I do as a captain. So that was the specific issue we were trying to address. We do not have that issue in fire.
I see where you're coming from. I think that it should probably be agendized as a separate topic in the future because I certainly think that it's worthy of a discussion. I'm looking at one of the items in this packet by the law offices of Lewis Silver. It doesn't really address a lot of the specifics, but I would imagine that a lot of these issues that were brought up are equally relevant to the individuals that are listed on here. And they're individuals. You have the assistant fire chief, the deputy fire chief, the emergency services coordinator, the assistant fire marshal, the chief fire enforcement officer, and they are all a part of our team, and we need to treat them like people. And so I think that, it's worthy of a conversation, and to say that, this might be too difficult of an issue to discuss maybe at this meeting, that might certainly well be the case, but I certainly want us to prioritize it in our, priority setting or process or some way look into it, agendize it so that we can have a more substantive conversation because, it definitely matters to, these people, and it certainly matters to me, and I think it matters to everybody here on the dais.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Councilmember Fan. And Chris is saying something. All right,
Just
Chris.
to clarify for the council, I know that letter is in your packet. There is a process here at the city that we will have to undergo in terms of looking at that letter and potentially recognizing that group. And so I want council to just pause on that because there will be more to come on that issue.
Yeah, definitely pause on it. And also, Chris is worried here. But no, definitely, he's professional. I do want to really echo Councilmember Fan. I want to take a moment here to check. And so if we can, I know we're not in the announcements portion, but is it okay to make a direction to agendize at this time?
In terms of dealing with the contents of the letter?
No. Well, that's related, but yeah.
Believe me, there's a process we'll have to follow. It will not be ignored.
Okay. So you'll take us there?
Correct.
Okay, he'll take us there. Is that good? Yeah, I definitely want to get things done. I want to kind of continue. Councilmember Fan, I definitely want to support fully the work that you're looking to get done in this organization, which is, I think, a fantastic idea. And hopefully we'll get there, more than hopefully, we'll get there in a very efficient way, working together with, a great team. Because together, everybody achieves more. And so we're going to do a lot more. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Kind of corny, huh? Yeah. Okay, next up, Councilmember Montano.
Thank you, Mayor Tran. So I agree with staff's recommendation, and the whole purpose is to make adjustments. That's all we're doing, is to making the adjustments from the disparity of the salaries, and that's what I see right now. So I'd like to make a motion to go for staff's recommendation, because I have to leave. And
I know. Yeah, right.
So
can I go to Council? Can I go to Vice Mayor Nunez?
So adopt resolution amending.
No, he had a request. I want to respect. Okay, all right. That's on you, Vice Mayor. It's on you now.
So I'd like to second that with I'd like to have just two additions or two. One is that we do bring it back, number one, and number two, the one about the fire.
Yeah.
But number two, in that explanation, I know you've said that we're not going to get, it won't go out of balance again if we attach it to the POA.
Represented groups.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to do it. Because, I just don't think it's going to do it, but I would like an explanation why you think it will, not right now, but because she has to go. But if it's just something back to us why you think it will. I've not seen that happen before when you attach it to a group that's negotiating, but just why you think it will, because maybe I'll be convinced. So I'd like to second it with that.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 20, I'm going to go through the recommendations one at a time. There's two of them. We have a motion to adopt the resolution for recommendation number 1 by Councilmember Montano. We have a second by Vice Mayor Nunez. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried. Recommendation number 2, looking for a motion to approve salary increases for the unrepresented police management by 10.69%. Looking for a motion.
And before we have the motion, just clarity from our management staff, that increase will be effective the first full pay period following this meeting.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, looking for a motion.
So moved.
We got a motion to approve salary increases for the unrepresented police management by 10.69% by Vice Mayor Nunez. You have a second by Councilmember Fan. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, Ashwini and Liz. And we're looking forward to doing more. All right, moving on here to item number 18 here. Let's receive a report on the pilot rent relief program. Approved budget amendment and approve budget amendment and authorize the city manager to execute an amendment to the professional services agreement with Silicon Valley Independent Living Center. And we'll welcome up Director of Building, Housing and Safety. Is it in that order? Building Safety and Housing. Okay, I'm still working on that one. Director Sharon, how are you doing? And we have Robert. Yeah, that's number 18. Yeah. Okay, let's begin.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sharon Goey, Director of Building Safety and Housing, and Robert Muslim, Housing Authority Administrator. And since council was almost going to put this on consent, I was just going to ask whether you want us to do the presentation, or did you want to ask questions directly?
Yes, yeah, and it got pulled from consent. We have community members here, and so let's go ahead and receive the report on the pilot rent relief program.
Good evening, Mayor.
And the community members are right behind you, and so they'll be coming up here for comment as well.
Great. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and Milpitas residents. As Sharon mentioned, my name is Robert Musalam. I am the Housing Authority Administrator here at the city, and I am pleased to present the following report on the pilot rent relief program. Thank you. So a little background. On August 6, 2019, the Housing Subcommittee met to consider the creation of a pilot rent relief program that would provide various forms of financial assistance to Milpitas residents and families that have emergency housing needs. At that meeting, the Housing Subcommittee directed staff to bring this item to a future City Council meeting with the recommendation to budget $100,000 for the one-year pilot rent relief program. On October 15th, the City Council authorized the creation of the pilot rent relief program and allocated $100,000 in financial assistance to Milpitas residents and families that have these emergency housing needs, and Silicon Valley Independent Living Center was selected to administer the program on behalf of the city. On February 25th, 2020, staff presented an update to the City Council Housing Subcommittee on this pilot rent relief program, and at that meeting, the subcommittee recommended an amendment to appropriate an additional $100,000 to the pilot rent relief program. So just a quick refresher on the eligible recipients. We have low to moderate income individuals and families with dependent children under the age of 18, seniors who are age 55 and older, disabled individuals, victims of domestic violence, emancipated foster youth, and Section 8 below market rate rentals and other housing opportunities that are provided a subsidy. So as of February 21st, 2020, the pilot rent relief program has allocated $44,607.68 and has assisted 10 households with a total of 36 Milpitas residents. So the eligible recipients that have received assistance are low and moderate income families with children, seniors, victims of domestic violence, and subsidized units should be up there. So I'm going to provide, these are the types of assistance that the program provides, and I'm going to provide you a little context for each of the types of assistance with some just general user case studies here. So under rent and deposit relief, 6 of the 10 approved relief recipients have been for deposit assistance to either obtain housing or rent assistance to remain housed. The city's, for example, the city's first rent relief recipient was referred by Project Sentinel after attending one of our drop-in clinics here at City Hall. The recipient was evicted from her home after 20 plus years, and her landlord decided to sell the property. She was able to receive deposit assistance when she secured a new unit. Another recipient received rental assistance after they had received a 3-day eviction notice. She and her children were able to stay housed due to this rent relief program. Under emergency hardship, we had 3 recipients who were referred from the senior center, and they were approved for emergency hardship relief due to their struggle to pay both utilities and housing payments. So rent relief was able to assist with the housing payments so those eligible recipients could pay their utility bills to prevent them from being shut down. Under eviction prevention, 2 recipients were at risk of eviction. One of them was a victim of domestic violence who, as a result of the incident, was forced to leave her second job, which that reduced her income and resulted in a 3-day eviction notice, and rent relief was able to keep her and her 3 children housed. Under domestic violence relocation, rent relief has successfully relocated 1 victim of domestic violence with 3 children who attend the Milpitas schools. This recipient was referred by the school district, and city staff immediately connected the family with our partners at Nextdoor Solutions to Domestic Violence, who then coordinated services for our resident and got them rehoused. Under child and family homelessness relief, 3 of the eligible recipients that were assisted with rent relief, with a total of 9 children, and were assisted under this category, preventing homelessness or temporarily providing them accommodations in lieu of living in their vehicles. Staff was able to temporarily house them while services could be coordinated to assist them in finding a more long-term housing solution. And then under Section 8 good faith deposits, to date, we have received no applications for tenants applying under this category. So just really quick on the outreach and feedback. To spread the word to the community, staff has conducted outreach with the school district, Milpitas Police, the Senior Center, Project Sentinel, and as well as we spread informational materials at all our city-held workshops. And so as a result of the 3+ months of work that we've done, we've been able to come up with a few conclusions. Overall, the feedback has been extremely positive. The community is extremely grateful for the support that the council has given in providing these funds. After 3+ months, we have spent nearly half of the allocated funds, the original $100,000. And we experienced many requests for relief that fell beyond the scope of what this body approved back in November, specifically lots of requests for past due mortgage and past due utility assistance. And at the February 25th Housing Subcommittee meeting, the subcommittee received this report and directed staff to request an additional appropriation of $100,000 for the pilot rent relief program. Additionally, the subcommittee directed staff to broaden the types of eligible assistance offered to potential recipients to include these items which we did not include in the original program details, but staff will be returning to the subcommittee to further discuss these broader items as they are developed. So fiscal impact, the City Council approved the original $100,000 in program funding on October 15, 2019. And if the Council approves recommendation number 2, which I'll get to on the next slide, an additional $100,000 of fiscal impact from the Affordable Housing Fund. And finally, the recommendations. Number 1, receive report on the pilot rent relief program. Number 2, approve a budget amendment to appropriate an additional $100,000 from the Affordable Housing Fund to the fiscal year 2019-2020 housing operating budget for Silicon Valley Independent Living Center to fund the pilot rent relief program. And number 3, authorize the city manager to prepare and execute an amendment to the 1-year professional services agreement with Silicon Valley Independent Living Center to include the additional $100,000 for the management of the pilot rent relief program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert. I appreciate your work, Sharon, as well. Thank you very much. Always great work coming out of your department, departments, plural. And so we're going to go to public comment first. And I know the Vice Mayor, who's really spearheaded the committee along with Councilmember Montano. But we're going to hear amazing things. But we'll go with public comment first. First up, we have Frank Schmidt. No, I'm just checking on you if you're okay. All right. Yoli Garcia, come on up.
Okay. I just want clarification, I think, on this.
You got it.
So I see number 2 is to appropriate additional 100,000, an additional 100,000. So being that it'll be 200,000 since October, right? Okay. Number 3, maybe it's just not. Okay. It says additional 100,000 for the management of the program. We're paying them $100,000 to manage this program?
That's a question. Maybe Vice Mayor, do you want staff? Okay, Robert.
I could, but then...
He could, yeah. Or I'll go to Robert. Perfect.
So the answer to that is no. We're not paying them $100,000 for the management of the pilot rent relief program, but they are managing the $100,000 additional funding. So the total $200,000, they are the ones administering the program, of which they get a administrative fee per client that they assist. But it wouldn't be $100,000 to SVLC to manage the program.
I'm just saying, it's just how to read. Okay. Thank you.
I appreciate you. All right, next up we have Allison McDonald. Come on up.
I had the same question. The wording is kind of funny, and I think maybe that could be whatever the resolution is could be worded better. I'm really pleased to see that this program is being utilized by folks. I think there's more that can be done with regard to outreach. There's a lot of people struggling in the community, and I know that they don't all have time to come out on a Tuesday night, or I think it's a Wednesday night when Project Sentinel is here. So, but I do urge you to pass this and get more help into the hands of people who need it. There's obviously a need, seeing that half of it's gone in the first 3 months of the program, and we're still working on getting the word out. So thank you so much for putting Milpitas families first and trying to figure out how we can help folks in this economy who just can't keep up with rents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Allison. I appreciate it. We'll go to public comment still. If yes, I know that, come on up. Now's your time. If you haven't spoken, Mr. Montemayor, welcome back up, sir.
My understanding is 2 and 3 are correlating with each other. The number 2 is the council, and the 3 is city manager and staff. I think they're correlating with each other, so it should be no problem. And I think it's not affecting the city budget, but from the fund somewhere. What is that now?
Yeah.
From the affordable housing fund. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you. Public comment continues. Public comment continues for the agenda item. I don't see anybody looking to my left, looking to my right, looking to this area, going once, going twice. Public comment. Thank you very much. Everybody has concluded. And now we'll bring it back up to the dais. We have Vice Mayor Bob Nunez.
So first, I want to thank the staff because they really sort of put this all together, and they're doing a great job with it, along with the Independent Living Center. So I don't know why Sharon's sitting down. You should be up here. Really just so persons know you really spearheaded this. But I do want to make sure I keep my promise from our CDBG subcommittee meeting, where I promised Councilmember Dominguez that I would bring up that we went out again for the CDBG funds. There was about 500,000, 400,000. That's the part I was.
400,
CDBG.
400 to 430.
Yeah, 430, that's the capital project portion of the allocation.
That we went out again. It really was for everything, but I focused mostly on the capital to see if we could not use those dollars ourselves, and Robert and Sharon are looking at that. If we could not apply for those dollars to really help with either a tiny homes project or some type of facilities in conjunction with MUSD to really focus on the families and youth that are in attendance, the homeless youth that are in attendance at the school district. That's what we said we would focus on. We only have 30 days. Now it's less than 30 days. And so we are still we're still looking at other ways to provide services. When I say we, I really mean they are looking. Mostly I'm trying to stay out of the way. So this is one area. We're continuing in many areas. And if you think that's really just a staff of 4, is that what we have that's working on this?
Yeah, we have a 3-member housing team plus myself. So.
Yeah. So, so I think it's really great work that you're doing with a staff of 3. And when you're here till like midnight, so I don't know when you actually get any sleep. So I just wanted to add that to the report because I did promise that to the council member that I would say it. Remember, because she made me promise I would, so at least I'm on record as having said it.
I was there.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Nunez. I definitely appreciate all your efforts with the housing subcommittee and also your constant exploration of innovation for solutions to our housing crisis. And I'll continue to stand with you in different directions that you are looking, and we'll continue to search for solutions to things that really apply to the housing subcommittee. And so I'm happy to see this item on the agenda and for the additional funding and for more results. We're going through tough times with the housing crisis, but tough times don't last, tough people do. I think that's what they say, right? And so we're going to keep working towards a positive direction and through these tough times. And I'll tell you what, you two and everybody that's been working on this along with the Housing Subcommittee, super tough people, and I appreciate the work that you do. And so I don't see any further requests for any of these. Item number 18. So if we can we get one motion for recommendations 2 and 3? Chris?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. I was going to look to our city clerk to see if you already approved this item on consent. 18?
No, it wasn't on consent.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And if you'd
Gotcha.
like, yes, I was checking with Steve first. But yes, I think if you'd like to approve this in one motion, that would be fine.
So moved.
We got a motion to approve item number 18 by Vice Mayor Nunez. We have a second by Councilmember Fan. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion is carried. Great work. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, item number 19. Let's approve and authorize the city manager to execute a 5-year agreement with Brightview Landscape Services, Inc. for citywide parks maintenance services. We love that, for an amount of just over $1.6 million in the first year, and a total amount, keyword not to exceed, amount of $8,419,055 and some change over 5 years, folks. Over 5 years, subject to annual appropriation of funds. And we have our Public Works Director, Tony Enda, and one of my favorites here in City Hall, Chris Schroeder. How are you doing? Yes.
Good.
How will
Thank
we
you.
begin?
Good evening,
Okay.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Councilmember Fan. Tonight, I wanted to just go over a presentation with you regarding approval for the park maintenance contract here in the city. We've got just 5 short slides to go through, and then we also have Chris Schroeder here to talk through any questions you may have on the RFP process. A little background for everyone here. So, the city operates and maintains 36 parks throughout the city. And back on October 17th of 2017, Council actually approved the contract with Brightview for maintenance of 26 of those 36 parks. That amount came out to $1.2 million per year. That amount does not include a CPI increase. So over a 5-year period, the city was committed to $6.2 million in maintenance services. We're still under contract with Brightview right now, actually, for those 26 parks that we have here in the city. And again, the contract that that was approved by council allowed for maintenance on 26 of those parks. The remaining 10 are being maintained by Public Works staff. So in addition to maintain those 10 parks throughout the city, Public Works staff is also responsible for opening and closing the restrooms throughout for all 36 of those parks. So it is something that we discussed with council back during our FY 1920 budget. We talked through with council to say, what about some service enhancements that we can do to the public? So those Public Works staff that we have working on the 10 parks, also responsible for the landscape throughout the medians here in the city, and also involved with weed abatement. So we talked with council during the budget process and said, what if we enhance the services somehow, took the 10 parks that are currently being maintained, contract those ones out to add to the 26 that are already being maintained by a contract service, essentially freeing up 3 full-time employees to really focus on weed abatement here in the city, something we already heard about this evening from the county's perspective, but also to allow those Public Works staff to also work on landscape medians and maintaining proper landscaping throughout the city. So we were fortunate that you all approved that last year, so we're here today to culminate that whole exercise with what we have here today. We released the RFP in December of last year, so late December of 2019. The bidding or the RFP went out to 129 firms. 15 of those downloaded the RFP, and we received 4 proposals from contractors. And the 4 proposals from Brightview, Joe Landscaping, Terra Care, which actually provided services for us back in the past, and Mike Davis Landscaping, who actually does work for us currently. After review of the proposals that we received, we went with the top 2 firms and brought them in for oral interviews. Really just wanted to get a sense for what their execution plan was going to be, to make sure that they were going to staff it with the proper amount of staffing, make sure we had enough dedicated staff, and they understood what the city was really looking for from the contract. Following that review process, Brightview did come out on top, and you can see the scores there on the screen in front of you. Terra Care came in second, and like I said earlier, we just looked at the top 2 firms that scored highest in our initial review. So the proposed contract that we have for you for approval today will encompass park maintenance for all 36 of the parks in the city. Something that we also included with this RFP process was we asked for a matrix to be included in there because the city's going through a lot of changes, and in the process of going through those changes, we're considering bringing on additional parks. We never had a mechanism in the past for us to be able to have a price kind of broken out from a contractor to determine how much they would charge us for bringing on an additional park for maintenance services. So as part of this RFP process, we did ask for a price matrix to be provided, and every contractor that did bid on the proposal provided the cost matrix. So that gives us a better idea when we bring on additional parks, what those might actually cost the city, and we can bring that forward during approval. The contract includes, among several other items, includes a few mowing, edging, weed control, park landscaping, debris removal, trash inspections, athletic field, parking cleaning. It includes the opening and closing of restrooms, something that our public works staff were doing in the past. It maintains the same level of service that we've enjoyed for all the 26 parks that Brightview's already been maintaining throughout the city. The annual cost is about $1.6 million the first year. The contract does include a built-in CPI of 2.5%. So the previous contract had up to 5% of CPI included in there. We've been able to get this one down to a 2.5 CPI built into the contract. So that's another great thing there. So over a 5-year period, the city would look to invest $8.4 million into our 36 parks with the ability to bring on additional parks, which obviously would cost a little bit more money when we do that. So finally, our staff recommendation is for the council to give a direction to the city manager to approve the contract with Brightview Services for initial contract value for year one, $1.6 million. Subject to annual appropriation of funds. If we do maintain this contract for a 5-year period, the city would be spending $8.4 million for all 36 parks to be maintained throughout the city. And we'll take any additional questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Tony. Chris, I know you're here as well. What kind of support are you providing this evening?
Whatever questions you might have.
Oh, see, you brought backup tonight, huh? I want to say, and I dare to say, that this is my favorite item on the agenda this evening, just because it means so much to the community out in the field, and I just love the work that both of you do, and so I do want to say that.
Very much.
Yes. So I guess a few questions here. I'm really glad that this contract to be voted upon will free up 3 FTEs and really the allocation of workload. I'm very happy to see that we're freeing up some human power there. So, but the beautification of our city has really been an ongoing and will continually be ongoing a discussion in our city. Residents frequently provide their feedback to the quality of our 36 parks. Wow. I'm happy to hear that I can say we have 3 dozen parks here in Milpitas, and we'll see if we can get to 4 dozen. But my question is about the Brightview Landscape Services. In the past, we had a contractor for different reasons. It was before, I think most of us weren't here. But, you know, the reviews from that contractor that did landscaping throughout our city, I'm not sure if it was just parks or the whole city. It doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to get to is I think we ended that contract, didn't we? Because they were doing poorly. With this Brightview Landscape Services, what can you share for the folks in the chamber and the community as to our confidence in their ability to provide these services?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mr. Mayor. We've had a relationship with Brightview since 2017, when council first approved that contract for the 26 additional parks, or 26 parks that we have in the city. Their performance is stellar. And then no one's perfect. We'll take that. I'm pretty sure if you look around any of the parks, someone will point out a blade of grass there that's too tall, right? So that's always going to be something. but their customer service, their ability to respond when we do call them out and we do point things out to them that occur in the park has been stellar. The maintenance work that they do on all the 26 parks has been good, which is one of the reasons why when we put this contract out, we maintained the same level of service that we had for the 26. So we didn't look to try to overhaul the contract in a way that we're to show disappointment with the existing service. We look to maintain the existing stable service. Like, take what you're doing on the 26, and any contractor, go out there and see what we have on the 26 parks that we have, and you need to bid the same for adding the additional 10 on top of it.
Gotcha. Okay, and what the people of the company, great people to work with, responsive, caring,
very caring,
folks that are detail oriented, like, and so that sounds like, based on the quality of services, it's a great, really a company to, I would call partner with. And so if you're feeling the response and the feedback and the experience has been stellar, then that's very encouraging. And I will go in the community and use that word stellar more often.
There you go.
My next question is also important. I think all of us up here definitely get emails and communications and about the blade of grass. And I was reading this presentation, which is great, and it made me look at one area, park cleaning. What is the status? And this is just for my information, and I know we're working on things, or they're already taken care of, but in terms of the waste bins at the parks, is this duty go under this contract?
It does, yes. So the waste at parks is tricky.
Trust me, I'm at the park.
and we always encourage the community to continue to
do their part.
Do the My Milpitas app, which you all have promoted very favorably. Use the My Milpitas app to help report issues that you find. We always try to find a proper balance with when to clear the bins at the parks to allow for either programmed events to not overtop them.
Right.
So there's always a game to play with that. When the weather gets better, people want to get out there more. So sometimes our schedule falls off with that. We just encourage the community to just let us know when it just gets to be too full, and we can get the bins emptied out outside of our schedule. But to answer your question, it's always a game of trying to
game
judge,
theory almost.
Trying to judge when an item is being when a park is going to be overused for a big party, and then they're going to have a lot more of a waste stream.
Okay, great. And that's a challenging effort. Our parks are used optimally here in town, and so I'm encouraged to hear that, and I hope that Brightview can work with us to continually increase the quality of service in particularly that area as well. I think my last question here is, this contract is going to free up 3 FTEs. That's amazing. That's 3 full-time employees. My question is, where are you looking to direct these folks' time now?
So these folks were hired to do one of your favorite things is weed abatement.
Right.
Weed
It
abatement.
is.
And because of the way contracts were set up in 2017, when we brought it forward, these 10 parks weren't included on there because of financial reasons. We had to then divert some of those staff to help maintain the parks to keep our city beautified. And that's one of the big reasons why we came to council during the last budget and say we could really do better with weed abatement and with landscape maintenance if we just got these 10 off of our hands and moved them off. And you folks went along with that wisely, and here we are today.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for providing answers to my kind questioning. Tony, stellar work, and Mr. Schroeder, stellar work as well, if I may. Okay, next up, Vice Mayor Nunez.
So I've asked these questions, and I see them already standing over here. So Renee and Walter. So but they really were meant for you too. So I think So I also get emails all the time about things going on in the parks. And so one of them, though, was the most detailed email I've ever seen. It was, how many pages, Renee? 3 pages? 3 pages. Each park.
8.5.
Yeah, with pictures and things that should happen. I mean, he took a lot of time. And then I directed him to the park commission. There's more words to it. And then I figured out that you're not part of that commission. But it's the only commission I could find if you wanted to really talk about our parks, you could go to. And then I noticed that Renee no longer has parks in her title. So I bring that up, city manager, only because this gentleman took hours to really, I think, do a thorough review of our parks and had lots of suggestions. So I don't know how we sort of connect those together. But I started thinking that might be that commission. If you take a look at, it says that this contract is subject to an annual appropriation of funds. Does that mean, Chris and Walter, if we don't appropriate the funds one year, that contract is null and void?
The contract would end, yes.
So we don't need a reason to break it. We just don't give the money.
You also have the right to cancel with a 30-day notice.
Okay. But I would think that, do we do an evaluation every year?
We are constantly evaluating our contracts, our contractors, when they do work with us. We do have mechanisms in there where if they start to deviate from the performance that we put in place, we work through our purchasing department to either sit them down and set them straight, or we move away from the contract.
But is that in writing?
It's part of the terms and conditions of the contract. So there are certain terms that our city attorney has crafted for us, and it's in the contract that allows for us to assess liquidated damages, for example, and also really hold the feet to the fire.
So like our mayor, I usually go to one park. That's the one that's right at the end of my driveway.
Right.
Most community members go to their park that's right in their community. So you may want to take a look at that commission because it does says they advise the council. If they're taking great care of our parks, we should know that. But believe me, if there's some things that need to happen, they're going to tell you that too. But I'm just thinking we have that commission, and they should be reviewing it goes on to the parks. I just think that's something that if we're not doing, we should take a look at that. The second thing is, it was really that subject to annual appropriation of funds. So if this is this in the middle of that 5-year contract? Because that's what or is this a new contract for 5 years?
So this would kickstart a new contract for 5 years. So if your action tonight is to approve this effort, we would then promptly issue the 30-day notice on the existing contract that we have for the 26 parks, and then kickstart this contract to begin April 1 of this year. So that's the plan.
So do we go out to bid for this one then?
We did go out to bid for this one, yes. So that's where we talked about 15 contractors downloaded the plans, 4 submitted bids. We shortlisted it down to 2, and then we brought the 2 in for oral interviews.
So I just wasn't sure if that was the start. Like you said, it's been 2 years?
That's the previous contract. The previous contract. Yeah, and the previous contract was also put out for bid as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was you were out here and you just went to them because you still had them.
No. They had to compete just like everybody else, and working with our purchasing department really had to hold their feet to the fire. The great thing about what occurred in this situation was we really got a chance to test the market and really see just exactly what the services really cost. We could have just tried to bid out just the 10 parks, but we never would have known what value we're getting from the first 26. We got a chance to test the market and really see what the different cost issues came in. And it really allowed for a lot of competition for folks to really put together a package that would be acceptable to the city. We had a very rigorous RFP and in terms of things they had to live up to. So we feel really good about what's been put to the table, even though we did end up with Brightview as our same contract as before. It was not an easy walk in for them, and they'll tell you that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Nunez. Stellar questioning. And next up, we're going to Councilmember Fan.
I hope they tell me that. Yeah. I think the difference between this time and the previous time was they were actually here. I think during the public hearing, I think to take inquiries. One of the things that I think is a part of how I look at these bids and the scores and whatnot, and I wish that it would be factored in when staff does their analysis, is how responsive they are. So after we approved the last contract, I never heard from them again. We were like playing phone tag. We generally want to know the people who do business with the city because this is taxpayer expense. And I think that it's not a matter of scope of service. I think the scope of service is necessary. I completely agree with the mayor. This is a priority, right? To free up the 3 FTEs, that's a priority to be able to service. What was it, 36 parks?
Yes.
36 parks, certainly a priority. I think that in terms of the qualified bids there, if it's not Brightview, somebody else can do it. And obviously you see that in, a very small variance between the two of the short list. I don't think it's a matter of the vendor itself, but, how I weigh things. Sometimes I view it higher on the scale than performance itself to a certain extent. Performance is certainly a very important factor, but when it comes to responsiveness, I'm tired of folks treating the city council like they don't need to respond to the city council, that they can just go to the staff. At the end of the day, we're the ones who appropriate the budget. We're the ones who hire the staff, that hire the vendors, that authorize these vendors. So, I would really much appreciate, the vendors, the people that we do business with, our department heads even, to be more responsive to the city council. Those are just my thoughts. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that we're servicing the areas that we need to service. And, I will vote for this if, it's deemed absolutely necessary that we go with this vendor. But I do want to relay my serious concerns.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Fan. The careful eye and the pragmatic thinking and the due diligence in your leadership, I truly appreciate. And I will look for a motion to approve and authorize the city manager to execute a 5-year agreement with Brightview Landscape Services as noted on the agenda. I second that. We have a motion by Vice Mayor Nunez, a second by Mayor Tran. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you very much, and we're going to go to the Vice Mayor.
Thank you. And I just saw the chief walk out, so I'm hoping he's just going around the corner. But so I'm in our phone conversation Thursday, city manager, There's lots of things coming out now with regard to the coronavirus, but especially around first responders and making sure that they're safe, and things that can be sent out just to the community. There he is. So, Chief, if you got just a second. Okay. So I just wanted to, because it's, so I just got some reports. One was about making sure you have protocols for the homeless. And I remember you have a grant or something. So it's just that, and we have, the school district has a person that goes out to the homeless, and we want to make sure we share those protocols that we have with them Thursday. So this is getting so big that we're not staffed or capable of being the one, but we can be a conduit.
Right. So I'll start, and then I'll defer to the chief on the homeless part of the question, particularly in the field work. So we're no different than any other cities, and we've been coordinating with the county, and we've actually been spending our beginning of our week on this, quite a bit of time on this, and a lot of the work is actually happening out of fire. But I wanted to say that we are right now, I have a draft of some protocol work that we've assembled, and we've been paying attention to the other cities as well, so we're not reinventing anything. I think we're all the cities in Santa Clara County are coordinating their response efforts and their, let's say, plan for this type of issue that's before us. And we have actually put some information on our website, and that's obviously coordinated through the county. I think that all the council has seen that, because I haven't heard any issues of, hey, where's the information? We have been posting that, and your city manager's made sure that that's been up to date. So that's happened since last week. This week, I believe, Ashwini, you can just give me a nod that we are going to have, we're drafting a message out to the council, and will that also go out to the community? I know we were talking about Milpitas Matters, sending something out through that, which goes out on Friday, but to the council early on, it may be as soon as tomorrow. We've drafted that as soon as this afternoon. I haven't reviewed that draft. But as to what's going on with the homeless in the field, we do have officers out there. I've spent some time with the officers out there visiting some of the encampments and some of the individuals out there and speaking to them. So I'll turn that back over to the chief.
So good evening, council. So I have to apologize because I stepped away and I didn't hear the entire conversation or the question, but I'll just pick up where the city manager left off. So we do have a grant that helps to fund homeless outreach. We refer to our members as a homeless outreach team. This is done on a overtime basis. The grant pays for, no cost to the city. And so we do proactively make contact with, I'll actually refer to as our houseless out in the streets. We are trying to provide them or connect them with resources. Most of those resources come out of the county. However, very, very few people, seldomly does anybody accept services from us. As a matter of fact, what we're often hearing is they want to be left alone. But again, these are people that are houseless. They're dealing with law enforcement, police officers, and they really, in most cases, don't want contact with us. And so we are going to continue our efforts. We have tried partnering with county services. They have been reluctant to go into the field with us and make contact. Instead, they want that contact in their offices. But it doesn't mean we're going to stop our proactive efforts in trying to get our houseless off the streets.
Thank you very much, Chief. I know the county has the Valley Homeless Healthcare Program. I know they also have the Valley Homeless Healthcare clinics like Alexian and also down at the Home for a Shelter. But they do have a mobile team. I used to work with it. Actually, it's kind of crazy, but have we reached out to that program?
So I don't have a list, or I'm not, as I stand here, probably not going to remember everybody we've contacted. We've contacted multiple people at the county. If you have a resource that might be available to us, I would welcome that resource, and we can look into it to find out if there's another avenue we can travel to get our houseless some other services.
Okay, great. And I appreciate all you do. I hear about the outreach team going out, and I've seen a couple pictures actually too. And so I know we're being proactive and going to those areas throughout the city that aren't even city property, but are just other public properties. And we're doing all we can, and I appreciate you. That's why I want to thank you.
And I appreciate it. And I will say that my staff is committed to keeping this community safe and providing services to everybody in the city. This is a very large social issue that we as a police department really can't significantly impact. We are just a very small component of frontline services that are going to respond to the issue. It's a large social issue that has to be resolved by our elected officials, locally, statewide, public safety, and so on. I don't think there's just one element that's going to resolve this problem.
Thank you very much, Chief. And I just want to take a moment. I don't give kudos out too many times. I want to give kudos out to your department today. I came home to prepare for the meeting tonight, and there's a number of police vehicles here at Milpitas, police vehicles, really a block from where I live. And I did see actually a couple of fire department vehicles too. I said, oh, what's happening? I didn't pull out my app or the police scanner. The pulse points walked over there with my dog Zelda, but apparently the police department here identified a criminal suspect, and they were able to capture them. But it was hard. I know there's kind of a challenge to stop the person that was trying to escape, but my neighborhood thanks you so much.
No, I appreciate that.
And the department.
And I apologize for taking a few more seconds of your time, but this is really worth saying since you saw that and you're mentioning it. That was a residential burglar that we arrested. We've put some things out on social media, but really what's worth saying is we had an officer injured in that event.
Yeah,
the suspect in this case ran that officer's car.
Right.
That officer was hurt and had to have treatment at the hospital.
Yeah.
And that's what they deal with every day. And so, and I give kudos to my staff as well, that they are there doing their best to keep the community safe.
Thank you. Thank you, Milpitas Police.
And the officer will be fine, by the way.
Okay, great. Thank you. I didn't want to, I'm not supposed to talk about personnel, but I think that's safe to say. And our community thanks every police officer that puts their health in the line of risk. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Vice Mayor Nunez, for bringing up really from the beginning to the end of the meeting a key concern of public health, and I look forward to receiving staff's work on the particular topic issue, if I may. And I just want to look to the council to request this meeting be adjourned. I want to really. Okay, I don't think we need a motion for it, but I want to thank the vice mayor and the council member here. I want to thank the city manager, city attorney, city clerk, and all the staff that is here right now or are floating around. You know, I really think this was a really great meeting, and there's a lot of different things, but I'm really thankful for every single person. For the great work that we've done tonight. This is one of the top meetings that I'm